Would you like to go beyond the boundaries of the real world? What if I told you there's a genre of literature that pushes the limits of reality and imagination? Humanity has always sought to understand the unknown and look beyond its limits. So, how much can we dream about our future? The speculative fiction genre pursues precisely these questions. Speculative fiction explores ideas, settings, and scenarios that push the boundaries of current reality. It presents alternative worlds, possible futures, and imaginative scenarios. Inspired by modern scientific and cultural knowledge, this genre aims not to predict, but to provoke thought. With its subgenres, such as science fiction, fantasy, dystopia, and utopia, it offers diverse perspectives. Science fiction is a subgenre of speculative fiction that is based on scientific principles. It explores topics such as time travel, artificial intelligence, space exploration, and genetic engineering. However, science fiction is not solely about technology. It also delves into profound themes like human nature, social structures, and ethics. So, can human imagination transcend the boundaries of the universe?
I am Paul Atreides, son of Leto Atreides, Duke of Arrakis.
I have little doubt that we'll be able to produce machines and computer programs that will behave in a fashion that we speak of as intelligent. Where my doubt comes in is whether we shall be able to produce machines capable of creative thinking.
A genre that stretches the boundaries of imagination. A mirror of different eras, a window into the unknown. But how far back do its origins go? From ancient myths to medieval dystopian prophecies, speculative fiction was born from humanity's constant urge to question what lies beyond. Plato's Atlantis, Thomas More's Utopia, and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein were not merely stories. They were reflections of the scientific and societal anxieties of their time. The Industrial Revolution brought technological changes that fueled new directions for imagination. Pioneering authors like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells crafted tales that explored the power of machines and the limits of humanity, giving life to what we now call science fiction. The 20th century was marked by rapid technological and societal transformations. 2 world wars, Cold War paranoia, the space race, and civil rights movements. George Orwell's 1984 served as a warning against totalitarian regimes, while Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 championed the freedom of thought. And today, speculative fiction does more than just imagine the future. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, climate crisis. Whether it's Elon Musk's vision for Mars, the threat of global warming, or the merging of man and machine, today's speculative works often act as prophecies of what may come. Speculative fiction doesn't just tell us what could be. It invites us to dream of what should be. And that dream is humanity's greatest strength, because every great change begins with a dream. Exploring the words of leading authors who have pioneered this genre, uncovering how speculative fiction reflects and responds to scientific and social dynamics.
A wonderful way to think about possibilities. It's a wonderful way to explore exotic politics. It's a wonderful way, it's a freedom. It's a way of doing anything you want. There are all sorts of walls around other genres. Romances, mysteries, westerns. There are no real walls around science fiction. We can build them, but they're not their natural life.
Science fiction really fiction, or is it just the future waiting to happen? Author Frank Herbert says it's a little bit of both. His books under the Dune title takes us to a strange planet where life and death is determined by a spice, which is carefully doled out by a leader who is a humanoid in the process of becoming a worm. Now before I ask you about the statement of that, Frank, why is there a tendency for people to chuckle when they hear what I just said, to sneer, to smirk?
Well, I think it makes people uncomfortable, the idea that a human being can become something other than a human being, especially something mindless out of the depths. I'm very heavily imbued with Jungian psychology, so I think that we do have a sense of the mindless animal in the depths of all of us.
But science fiction, when people say science fiction, they automatically go,
Yeah, but I write science fiction for people who don't read science fiction, and people who read science fiction also.
You wrote an essay called Escape from Fantasy to characterize what you thought the essence of science fiction was. Most people think it's a flight into fantasy.
I think the title is Escape to Reality.
Escape to reality, I'm sorry.
Right. Well, that's because, you see, when you think of the future, you try to make it as plausible as possible. Back in 1933, for instance, there were science fiction stories dealing with a world in which all the oil and coal had been burned up. Well, the youngsters who read that story in 1933, including myself, took it seriously. At least I did. And I said, my goodness, what happens if we do burn up all the oil and coal? That's the first time that ever occurred to me that this might be a problem. So that on and off, I worried about using up our fossil fuel supplies for the last 40 years. And most of the world, virtually all the world, has only started worrying about it a few months ago, you know?
What was it like to be a woman early on writing in the science fiction and fantasy genre?
Well, it was kind of fun. Like you said, you know, hi boys, so here we are. Sorry about that, because there were some of them were, oh my goodness, they were macho. You know, but I don't know, I think we younger ones, and we weren't all women, I mean, there was just kind of a new wave coming in, that, okay, it had been a very macho field and kind of written for engineers, you know. And things were changing, and we were changing it. And that's a good feeling.
What is science fiction? Well, science fiction is not about predicting the future. The future doesn't exist. Science fiction is here to prevent and invent the future. Prevent and invent the future. Preventing the future in a sense that science fiction can tell us the danger that future holds for us, but it can also help us invent the future and make sure that the future is without those dangers that I was talking about. Preventing, inventing the future, not predicting. The central question in science fiction is the following: what if? It's a very simple question, but it's very hard and very complex to answer. What if? What if, for instance, we could fly to the moon? What if one day we'll meet an alien race? What if? And some societies are able to ask the question, what if? Some societies cannot ask the question. Same for individuals. In science fiction, what if is the most important question. Now, why science fiction is important, I'm going to tell you here with 3 keywords: innovation, profitability, and smart power.
Octavia Butler, Isaac Asimov, Frank Herbert, and Ursula K. Le Guin enriched science fiction by offering unique perspectives. Butler focused on social justice, Asimov on technology, Herbert on ecology, and Le Guin on social structures. Their works not only imagined the future, but also provided powerful critiques of the present. Imagination is the most powerful tool that takes us beyond boundaries. Speculative fiction doesn't just tell stories, it shows us that different futures are possible. Imagining a better world is the first step toward building one. This genre calls us to action, to think about science, art, nature, and humanity together. Speculative fiction is a journey through which we can rewrite the future. Perhaps the answers we seek are hidden within these stories.